Shake it up, Biden now, shake it up, Biden. Yeah, the SEC has a new chairman, kicking the acting chairman to the curb soon. Is this new guy good or bad for crypto? And what does this mean for Q1 of 2021? Is XRP a security? Well, let's find out in about 10 minutes because it's time for Chico Crypto. So, who did the Bidester pick to lead his SEC commission, presumably for the next 4 years? Well, it wasn't one of the acting Democratic commissioners, Allison Lee or Caroline Crenshaw. It was a new boy, Gary Gensler. So who, what, where, and why is Gary Gensler? Well, Gary is actually a former banker for Goldman Sachs, then turned financial regulator for the Obama administration, serving as chairman of the CFTC from 2009 to 2014. But he started with old Bill Clinton, serving in smaller financial government positions from 1997 to 2001. So now Gary is back in an even bigger driver's seat as a chairman with Biden, who he worked with before. But this time it's with the SEC and not the CFTC. So what is Gary's mission going to be? Well, we have to go back in time and see what Gary has been doing since leaving the CFTC. Did he turn pro-crypto? Did he get involved with cryptocurrency? Pro-crypto, maybe, but he did get involved with the industry. January 2018, it was announced by the MIT Digital Currency Initiative that Gary was joining them as senior advisor and even as a senior lecturer, aka professor. That is pretty damn involved. Which we can confirm that involvement. Some of his courses are online for free. Links for those are in the description if you want his full thoughts on crypto. 24-hour-long sessions, aka a full day of Gary. You can't handle that? Well, luckily you have Chico to break his thoughts down. So obviously, by joining MIT and the Digital Currency Initiative, he is pro-Bitcoin as they are pro-Bitcoin. Most of their initiatives are Bitcoin focused, including Bitcoin core development, but they also dabble in ZKs and CBDCs. Wall Street Journal covered his like for Bitcoin and blockchain technology in 2018 in an article titled "Former CFTC Chair Has Bitcoin on the Brain." And this is evident from his courses. In an introductory course, Money, Ledgers, and Bitcoin, you can see the enthusiasm in his eyes, pushing his students and viewers to read Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper.
But the riddle remained. You remember that riddle, how to move money peer-to-peer without a central authority. And that's what I'm asking for next class, Thursday, to actually read. I wouldn't wing it, and I wouldn't be afraid of it. Satoshi Nakamoto wrote a paper that everybody in this class, if you're at MIT and a few of you are at Harvard, I'm telling you, you can read it. You'll understand maybe a half to two-thirds of it. It's not deeply technical.
So that is a good sign out the gate. He understands the technology and he agrees that Bitcoin is not a security. Bitcoin gets a nod and a green check from Gary. So what about the others? Ethereum, XRP, the thousands of other ICOs. What are his thoughts beyond just BTC? Let's begin with Ether. Besides BTC, Ether is the only other digital currency the CFTC has publicly stated is a commodity. And this view by Gary's former division was just reinforced in December when CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, confirmed Ether futures would launch in February of 2021, aka next month. CME wouldn't funk around if Ether didn't have the green light. But what are Gary's own views? Well, he gave a lecture called Smart Contracts and dApps, which of course included Ethereum, but also his thoughts on if he thinks it's a security. Let's listen in.
Bitcoin started in January of 2009 and nobody owned any Bitcoin, whereas Ethereum started with a pre-sale and an ICO, which we'll be talking about 72 million Ethereum. Vitalik wanted to raise money. He was maybe 19 years old. He looped in with a venture capitalist from Canada, Joe Lubin, who now runs Consensus. Lubin took about 10% or 9.5% of the offering. They put 9.5% in a foundation called the Ethereum Foundation, and the other 80% was sold to the public for $18 million. We'll talk later in the semester as to whether that was really a securities offering. I publicly said I think so, but that was in 2014, and in 2018, the Securities and Exchange Commission has said, regardless of what it might have been in 14, it's now sufficiently decentralized that we'll consider it not a security. But in essence, they raised $18 million, and we're off to the races.
So he does personally think that Ethereum ICO was a securities offering back in 2014, but there are rulings that it's sufficiently decentralized today, moving it out of the securities basket. And again, CME launching futures in a month confirms that. So Ether gets a green check, but a tisk from the Gare Bear. So now the big question that needs answered is XRP, as I'm sure their army has been holding their breath regarding the new chairman. Well, sorry to burst your XRP bubble, but it isn't the best of news. Let's hear it.
So Hugo was asked about the token XRP and whether I think it's a non-compliant security. I've spoken publicly. Yes, I do think it's a non-compliant security. But this will not be resolved just by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It will be resolved by some courts, whether it's appellate courts or the Supreme Court. So what I believe is just that. It's a belief. But why would I say that? I think back to the Howey test. I think they are exchanging XRP. Ripple, the company, is exchanging XRP for something of value. And they're using it right now. They sell it every month. It's in a lockup. There's in an escrow. And they sell XRP every month. Ripple, the company, initially did the Genesis block back in 2013, but kept 80% of the tokens. Now they have about 60% of the token.
He has a strong view that yes, it's a security, but it's not up to him. It's up to the courts, which as we know, Ripple is in the middle of right now, defending that XRP is not a security. And thanks to Leonidas on Twitter for putting this together. But the lawyers have been set for both the SEC and Ripple. And it's a long list of lawyers on the XRP side, as they are obviously going to need it, with the SEC confirmed to be aiming to be moving full steam ahead with a security ruling. So that court battle, it will rage on. Which methinks why Flare, their plan F, is moving full steam ahead with their network launch planned for Q2 of this year, even now integrating with Litecoin and airdropping to their holders, pushing them away from fully airdrop dependent on the possible security XRP. But regarding Flare, it's one of the thousands of other cryptocurrency and blockchain projects trading in some form on centralized exchanges like Binance or Coinbase, or decentralized through something like Uniswap. So what are Gary's thoughts on those? ICOs, airdrops, NFTs, IEOs, the altcoin you may be hodling. Well, before we get into just that, it's time for a sponsored segment of this video, supported by the team at shopping.io. And like always, if you're watching Gare Bear, I do it right. The full details of our agreement are below. What do I like about shopping.io? Well, simplicity. It's a gateway to make purchases from e-commerce sites like eBay, Walmart, and more with cryptocurrency. So let's get right into it. It has an easy sign up, but there are tiered plans based on hodling their token SPI, which we'll get into in a second. But we're going to go with free. Once signed up and then into the orders in the dashboard, you can browse for products to buy through the major retailers. For example, searching for an iPhone, you can see the results from each retailer: Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and even AliExpress. Now, we ain't ordering an iPhone. Let's order some cat food for Kitty Wayne. Putting in one is simple, just like any online checkout. And they have partnered with Coin Payments for their payments, who's hands down the most trusted crypto payments provider in the world to date, serving the needs of the big dogs. And then, at the Coin Payments checkout page, you have the option to pay in Bitcoin and over 70 other cryptocurrencies. A free account with them is great. You get to spend your crypto easily, and you get the bonus of free shipping within the USA, but you're limited to 20 orders per month. although they have the two other plans for fulfilling mega shopper needs, the starter and pro plans. And these plans require their tokens, SPI tokens, to be held in an Ethereum wallet. As we can see for the starter plan, 1,000 SPI is required to be held. With the pro plan, 2,000 SPI is required to be held in your MetaMask wallet. And each gives their own bonuses. The starter, 5% discount on all items from Amazon, Walmart, and eBay, free USA shipping, international shipping option, and access to the VIP Telegram group. And it also bumps the limit of orders to 50 per month. Pro, 10% discount, all the other bonuses as a starter, plus it increases the number of orders to 100 per month. And remember, access to these plans, you aren't spending the SPI tokens, but just holding them with the option to remove at any time. So you may be asking yourself about the tokenomics of SPI. Well, there was a 1 million hard cap supply created on the Ethereum blockchain, and this entire supply was put into a Uniswap liquidity pool. There was no ICO, pre-sale, or team token allocation. Now you may say, what about rug pulls with liquidity from Uniswap? Well, the Shopping.io team has locked up over 83% of the liquidity, Uniswap liquidity tokens with TrustSwap. Now you may be asking yourself, what happens to the trading fees from the liquidity held? Well, the entire Uniswap trading fee pool is distributed every 7 days to the stakers of SPI, which if we see the trading volume on the swap, over 2 million 24 hours. Not a bad return for the stakers, which this week it's estimated to be $55,000 going to them. And this staking, it happens through their own staking platform, found at www.spi.club. Of course, links for everything is down in the description. So for those of you who are just holding your crypto and don't want to get back into fiat, but you want to spend it, there are options, and Shopping.io provides free ones, just holding SPI options and staking options. Now back to Gary Gensler and his thoughts on ICOs and altcoins, and I'm sorry to burst the altcoin bubble, it's not good. April of 2018, out of MIT's own technology review blog, they posted this article. Former regulator under Obama says more than 1,000 ICOs are not following the law. In the article it stated, Gensler has said more than $10 billion has been raised via ICOs, a blockchain-based fundraising method. But a significant fraction of these are fraudulent, and many were launched in a way that is not compliant with U.S. securities laws established in the 1930s. To reach its full potential, blockchain technology will need to come within the public policy framework, and we're not in very good shape right now. And this is further confirmed by his own words on Bloomberg in 2018. Let's listen in.
I think those crypto assets called initial coin offerings, that it's like the old duck test. If it quacks like a duck and waddles like a duck, it's a duck. These things are like initial public offerings.
So in Gary's eyes, if your project ran an ICO and raised funds, you may just be a security. So if you hold an altcoin that raised funds within the United States, there may be questions from Gary's department down the road. But it's a specific case-by-case matter. Just raising funds does not directly put you into the securities basket. It all comes down to decentralization, folks. Is your project sufficiently decentralized? And you can confirm this from this 2018 Bloomberg article titled "Former CFTC Head Says Big Cryptocurrencies Could Be Classified as Securities." And in it, Gensler said this to Bloomberg regarding classifying tokens as securities. There's a strong case, particularly for Ripple, as Ether is more decentralized. So what this means for the altcoin holders like myself, it's time to take a big introspective look into what you're hodling. Did it run an ICO? Did they take investors where they weren't supposed to? Is there even a freaking product? And is that freaking product sufficiently decentralized? If more than a few of those are checked, especially no product, all I have to say is yikes. But what about those that raise no funds, like an airdrop? Well, luckily, the Gare Bear has also talked on this in 2018. Just a clip, but let's watch now.
It did have a little airdrop. By the way, I think airdrops don't get you off the hook.
Whoa, airdrops do not get you off the hook. What does he mean? Well, it all comes down to, once again, decentralization and product and token airdrop distribution. Did the runners of the airdrop enrich themselves? Did they pull off a seriously unfair distribution? Gary doesn't like that, as seen from his thoughts on the reason for XRP being a security and Ripple's token distribution. Let's hear.
Ripple, the company, initially did the Genesis block back in 2013, but kept 80% of the tokens. Now they have about 60% of the token. But they sell it on a continuous basis, 100 million to 200 million or so a month of value.
Unfair distribution, continually enriching themselves. If an airdrop did that, it just might be a security. So those thinking of dropping, make sure you have a product. It's decentralized and don't get greedy. But what about those NFTs, non-fungible tokens? Gary has also spoke on these, specifically CryptoKitties, and those hold a special place in his heart for some reason. Let's listen in.
So I want to start with probably the most controversial statement that you made, which is, how can you say CryptoKitties are not a security?
There's something about CryptoKitties that is wonderful, but I don't think it's an initial coin offering. It did have a little airdrop. By the way, I think airdrops don't get you off the hook, but it started that way. But then you have this unique, I think it's more like a seat license, that you have a unique asset and you own your kitty.
Gary really likes NFTs as it comes down to the seat license and special ownership. So my friends, changes, they are coming to the crypto industry, led by the SEC. These last words from the Gare Bear on Bloomberg sum it up.
I'm agreeing. Not regulate the blockchain technology, but just ensure that its application, like cryptocurrency, investors are still protected. What does that mean? That we make sure there's not fraud and manipulation to the extent we can.
To the extent they can. And what extent they will go is to be seen, but I'll be covering it. Cheers. I'll see you next time.